Today on the show, we have author, motivational speaker, and former Air Force veteran Tim Klund to discuss his new book. That's next. Joining me today on the show is a guy I've always wanted to, I've known for a couple of years now. I've really wanted to interview on my show. So I'm blessed to have him today. He's a former Air Force veteran and a motivational speaker and a great author of a book that we're going to discuss today called Stop Whining, Start Winning 2.0, the Workbook edition. Mr. Tim Klund. Tim, how you doing this afternoon, sir?
Oh, doing great. How you doing, brother? Thanks for having me.
Pretty good. Since I've known you for a couple of years now, I've really admired what you've done.
Well, I appreciate it.
Really am so thankful that we get to spend time a little again, talk about your background.
Oh, man, thanks for inviting me.
And what you're doing now, man. So
yeah,
appreciate that, man.
No, thank you.
So let's talk about your background and where you started out and how you got to here today, pretty much.
Yeah. So the quick 40,000 feet of it is, U.S. Air Force out of high school. Got out of that. Actually went to go play college football at Southeast Missouri State. And while I was waiting for school to start, I was kind of working out with those guys, waiting tables, just enjoying life with my little brother and his fraternity brothers. And a friend of mine from high school was like, man, why are you going to college? Why don't you come work with me? And I was like, yeah, what are you doing? And he's like, selling trailers. I was like, I'm going to go play college football. I'm not selling trailers. And then I realized how much money he was making back in '94. And it was a lot in Southeast Missouri. And I was like, man, okay. Yeah, maybe I'll come sell trailers. And talking to Coach Mumford at Southeast Missouri State, he was like 100%. If you can make that type of money, no reason to get in student loan debt and spend your time going to college. So actually went in mobile home sales and then in kind of escalator success and ended up coming down here to Texas in '99. And and then was in a car accident in 2000. And that was probably the game changer for me. 2000, I fell asleep driving home and took out two major highway lights out here in West Fort Worth and had to be care flighted and had my face redone on my 30th birthday, and which was now 20 years ago last week. So I was sitting at home and just trying to figure out what I want to do. I knew I didn't want to do 7 days a week anymore. Had a friend call me and went into corporate America, but at the same time I was watching Jerry Maguire. My wife came home. She's like, hey, what do you think we're going to do? And I said, man, I want to be a Jerry Maguire. And she's like, oh my God, you hit your head way too hard. You don't have a degree. You don't even know an athlete. Like, what are we going to do? Realistically, what are we going to do? So, went back to corporate world. I mean, right when I got in there, ended up meeting an athlete, Lemuel Stisson from Chicago Bears. And he and I started doing stuff together. And as they say, the rest is history. So I left the corporate world in 2008 and went on my own and was a co-founder in a company called PX3 Brain Science and sold out of it and created my own company, Verb, with my partners. And we've been up and running for the last 3 years. So doing a lot of crazy things, having fun.
Sounds great. Also I read in your about the author session in your book, you're a former Air Force veteran. So
yeah.
Talk about the service real quick. How was that experience and how that relay into your future endeavors?
Well, my Air Force experience wasn't, we were there during peacetime. We had Desert Storm, but that was kind of a blink. I was in the Philippines for the first 2 years and then Colorado Springs for the last 4.5. But when I was leaving the Philippines, I already had my orders. Desert Storm broke out. So my squadron who I was with didn't go over to Saudi until after I left. And then when I got to the stateside, the squadron at Peterson already left and we're probably back in like 45 days after I got to the base there. So that was it. I mean, I just kind of missed it on both ends. And, but for me, the Air Force is great. Gave me a great work ethic, great camaraderie, team leadership, all the above. And I had a great career. I'll be honest with you. I played sports the entire time I was there. I played base team softball and soccer in the Philippines and had a great time and traveled all over the Pacific and got back to the States and played base team softball there, and then was alternate on the All Air Force team. So the last 3.5 years, I was doing nothing but playing softball. So yeah, I had a pretty good time.
I've heard a lot of legendary stories about, people that were in the service and all the sports they played, the intra-squad sports they played, in not just the Air Force, but Army, Navy, Marines also.
Sure.
I've heard a lot of legendary stories about. I remember the scene in, it probably doesn't relate to it, but I remember the scene in Good Morning Vietnam where Robert was playing softball with all the oranges and everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that was
that's a great movie too. Well, those guys from World War II, Vietnam era, Korea, and even the guys from Afghanistan and Iraq, those were some amazing heroes. Desert Storm, we had amazing heroes in that too, but that was such a blank, and nothing compared to Iraq and Afghanistan and what everybody's gone through post 9/11. So the guys that were the boots on the ground there, I mean, those are true American heroes. For what they went through. So, and greatly appreciate guys and girls. So, yeah.
So great to hear that. So basically reading your book, it's not a Christian book per se, but I do like that you put in aspects of your faith along with the leadership essentials of it. Share your testimony about how you found the Lord as your Savior.
Oh, my mom, when I was little, she grew up in Kansas, and probably right where the belt buckle connected on the Bible Belt up in Kansas. And, from my grandmother to her all the way down, she was just an extraordinary woman of faith. And just growing up, we went to church every Sunday, and, we were the kids that got to ride the Joy bus, that picked up the kids in the neighborhood, and, your parents met you at church. So, it was just a good time, man. It's just growing up in a family that, loves Jesus, trusts Jesus, believes in everything God's created. And really all my faith and everything from that comes from my mother and my grandmother.
Sounds good.
Which plays right into everything. I mean, just life in general, right? I mean, everybody goes through adversity and hard times, and, handles it differently. And for me personally, I just feel like, I almost get worried if I don't have adversity, because when you do have adversity, I just look at it as, there's some big blessings on the horizon, and, the devil's trying to, derail you and get your mental aspect not in the right place. And when you can start overcoming the adversity of like, okay, going through some tough times, and you can start learning how to deal with that, and, not go overboard and panic and freak out and, woe is me. And you can just, keep your head high in good times and bad times. Life is going to be a lot easier for you.
Gotcha. Exactly, Tim. So basically, the experiences you just mentioned, your military experience, your accident, which you had to have face reconstruction on, and also, your spiritual testimony. How have all those experiences together made you the person you are today, in a practical sense?
Yeah, I think overall, again, just the adversity I've gone through in my life. It's amazing when you die 4 times. Everything else seems to be pretty easy, to be honest with you. And then you realize, oh, I died, and you wake up and you go, it was actually probably some of the best sleep I had over the last few days. And once that happened, it was kind of like, okay, that part's over with. What is there to be worried about? And I think people put too much pressure on themselves, and they worry too much or stress too much, or, I got to have this and that's going to help me be better. Or I got to have that. That's going to help me be better. And the reality is none of that stuff's going to help you be better. I mean, like I said, you have good times and you have bad times. And, if you can live a happy life through all of it, then you're going to find out that, man, life is actually, easy.
Yeah, definitely.
And everything just plays itself out, all the above. I mean, it gave me motivation. It let me take a lot of risks that probably most people won't take. I'm definitely, I used to have a nickname, the riverboat gambler, just because of take. I mean, fortune favors the bold. And if you're not willing to take the risk, then you're probably not going to get the gain. So, there's risk and gain in everything in life, and it's really kind of up to the person to, how much they're willing to hang it out there. And there's been a few times where it's, I've told my wife, like, if we lose this house and everything in it, we lose it, but I'm going for it. because we can always get another house, we can always get other material things, but I'm going to go forward on this opportunity. And there's some things in the corporate world that changed my life too. And I was executive vice president of Fortune 500 company in Dallas, and when things started getting kind of tough, the customer service person got fired, and he's 55 and I was 36 at the time, and he was like, man, don't let this happen to you. I've been a slave to the corporate world my entire life. I miss kids' games, I miss holidays, I miss this, I miss that, and what do I have to show for it? And that's what kind of hit me kind of hard. He's like, man, you've got skills most people don't, and don't get sucked in. And that's kind of, again, when 08 came and shareholders wanted me to fire about half the company, I was like, you know what, just start with my salary. I'm not firing anybody. And that's kind of when I went on my own, and yeah, definitely got my rear end handed to me the first year or so out of the gate. But like they said, man, when you're in hell, don't stop, keep pushing forward.
And it was interesting when you said we go through adversity, and you're talking about taking risks. I think if it's blessed, as believers go, I think if we take risks, God's going to be with us every step of the way on that.
Sure. If you have faith that, this is what I'm going to do, and I have faith it's going to work out. And again, the adversity comes from the devil trying to derail you. That's what happens. People don't realize what the adversity actually is. They look at it as a worldly adversity, and and kind of get lost in that, when it's really like, no, the reason why you're probably dealing with some adversity right now is because God's got great blessings coming for you, and the devil is trying to derail you in losing your faith, in giving up, in all the negative things that happen with the lack of faith. And and then guess what, when you quit having faith, and you quit moving forward, and you quit taking the risk in faith, then all of a sudden, guess what, you don't get to where you want to be. And listen, God's come through. Just told my hometown church group, last day, God's come through for me every time. It could be the 11th hour, 59-minute, 59.5 second, but he always comes through. And, it gets to a point where you don't even worry about it anymore. You don't worry about, I hope God helps out. I hope God comes through. I hope he's coming through. You just stay faithful and keep doing your job, and he'll handle his. And the most part is again, he's going to see, how faithful you do stay, and how truthful you are. And so it's kind of like when you're in a 10-round fight, if you can just keep getting back in the fight, and not finding yourself counted out, God's going to show up. So that's probably the biggest thing for me, is I just don't really stress on much at all, to be honest with you. And trust me, I've got just as many problems as everybody else has, probably more. With more responsibilities comes more everything. So, it's a constant, something over here might be going great. Something over here might be going lukewarm. Something over here might be like, oh my God, we're in trouble. It's just staying on top of all of it all the time and not worrying about it. The celebrity softball games, you name it. If I had $1 for everybody who told me I can't do something, I'd probably already be retired and wealthy. I just don't listen to it.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Tim. Okay, so let's talk about the book right quick. The book again is called Stop Whining, Start Winning 2.0, the Workbook edition. So I guess with all your experiences, what was basically the main inspiration for you to write the book?
Well, I just had, spent 6.5 years with PX3, and honestly thought that was going to be my retirement, and put everything into it, and then just kind of realized this is not going to be it. And I went to my partner and said, I think we should go this way. And he said, no, I'm never going to go that way. I'm only focused on going this way. And it was like, great, buy me out. And, so then you're kind of starting back square one. And here I am now again, 46, going, man, I'm kind of starting back at square one. I kind of caught myself a little bit, woe was me. I put all this time in, da, 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 da. And at the same time, I had a good friend of mine, Eric Shaw, who's the CEO of Tactical 16, the publishing group, calling me going, hey, man, write a book, da, 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 da. And no, I'm not writing a book. And yeah, write a book about yourself. So actually, the first book I wrote between me and my computer was really a Bible on myself. And it was very therapeutic of just literally just writing about me from day one and to where I am today. And I wrote it. And again, it was very therapeutic. There was things I forgot about. There was memories that came, good and bad. And then I read it and I was like, man, this book sucks. And it's about me. I wouldn't even want to read this guy. This guy's nobody special. And so I called Eric and it's like, man, I'm out. I just wrote this book. I read it. Sucks. I wouldn't, like, nobody's going to be interested in this book. And he was like, no, all the speaking you're doing, you need to have a book. But I said, I'll tell you what, if you let me write a book, just pretty much everything I've learned on how to get from A to Z. I'm not college educated. My family was not of influence. There's the only person my dad ever introduced me to was the Air Force recruiter. That was it. We didn't have influence. My kids are very blessed because their dad knows a lot of people, can open a lot of doors. My parents couldn't do that for me. So, I literally went from the very bottom to being able to achieve anything I want in life. And I told him, if you let me pretty much write how I cheated to get there through the mentors that taught me things along the way, I'll write that. And that's kind of how the book came about. And then there's, I started looking at, what are some of the things that, I wrote it for if I was like a 17-year-old, if I'm a 17-year-old, what are the things I would love for somebody to tell me? But then you start looking at, you're like, okay, well, if I'm a 25-year-old coming out of college or middle, in a career, what would I want to know? What are some of the things that maybe I can learn that can help me cheat to the winner's circle faster, so I don't have to learn the hard lessons on my own? And then I started looking at, the middle management person on management skills and how do I lead people and treat people, and how am I a successful manager in a corporation? So all these things kind of started from, a teenager level all the way through to even, if I'm retired, what are some of the things if I want to go do something else, what can I pick up out of this book? And that was really my goal in writing that book, is that it was a little bit of insight on me, but it was more of like, these are the secrets that I've learned, that I use even still to this day, to help me get to where I want to be. And that's really what that's how it came about.
Sounds great. Appreciate it. And it's a great book. I read through it. It's very easy read to, but it's very
practical. Oh yeah. Well, it's written by somebody with the third grade education. So if you can't read it, you're going to be in a lot of problems.
That's true. That's very true. And like I said earlier, I talked about earlier, I like the balance between your faith and leadership. And it's not a Christian book per se, but I like the balance. I assume that's just basically.
Well, I think it's important, to touch on the faith aspect of, this is something that, again, I've gone through adversity. The one thing that gets me through adversity and keeps me on the winning track is my faith. And again, without it, don't really have much. And I think that's why a lot of people give up too soon. You always see the little meme of the guy who's literally maybe one more strike of digging to find the diamond. Yeah. And he's given up compared to the guy that keeps on going. So it's just, my thing is life is just a journey. It's actually kind of fun for me. I don't like to be, how's a good word to put it? Not normal, but I'm not normal by far. I like to see how much more I can achieve. And again, even from the first time I've worked with the first athlete to where I am today on the celebrity games and the people I know and the things I've done. And again, if I would have listened to everybody on the outside of the circle saying, yeah, you're not going to be able to do that, or, there's no way you can achieve that, or yeah, they would have been right, because I wouldn't have tried. And my thing is everything I do, I look at what's worst case scenario. If I do this, what would be the worst case scenario? Is it going to cost me money? Is it going to be, what's the worst case scenario if I fail at doing this? And then what could be the best case scenario? And, be honest with you, almost every time the best case scenario outweighs the worst case scenario. And, sometimes you got to give to get, and you're going to take losses. And, to me, losses, as you read in that book, losses are just as much part of winning as winning itself, because actually through adversity, through the losses, it's actually how you learn how to win.
That's right. It's how you grow also.
So,
I mean,
how you grow.
I've had so many losses in my life, and I probably wouldn't be the man I am today if I didn't have those losses. That's called adversity, and God does those for a reason and a purpose. And, that's why we have to cling to him and his word and his teachings to get us through that, and for us to be the man or woman of God he wants us to be.
Yeah, if you have that, you got nothing to worry about. I mean, my wife, God bless her. I mean, she's dealt with adversity through her life too, but the one adversity level that she just drives her nuts is financial. And when things were tough, and some days are still tough, how we go do this? Oh my God, what? And my nonchalant attitude of like, don't worry about it. Some days are just not the right answer for her. And it's like, you know what? Don't worry about it. I've got it handled. Well, how you go do it? I don't know. Something will come up, always does, and that just drives her. The uncertainty of not really knowing like what's the game plan absolutely makes her crazy. But trust me, I don't have any problem sleeping at night. I mean, I've gone through the worst of financial adversity when I left the corporate world, when America was shut down for pretty much 1.5 to 2 years, and man, everything dried up and we almost lost everything. But we didn't. And it's kind of like, there's nothing going to be as bad as that was. Because you might have to have X on a certain date. Doesn't mean you're 5 months in the rear or 6 months in there. You're getting ready to lose the house. And again, so what? It's just life. These material things, people put too much faith in these material things, and trying to keep up with the Joneses and everything else. And that's really, I see a lot of people, that's where their problems start, because they're always focusing on what everybody else is doing, not on themselves. And, I just focus on, what TK and his family does, what's best for them. If my friends are, moving in multi-million-dollar homes and doing, man, I'm excited for them. I'm excited for all of them. But it's maybe not what's good for our family right now. And, but where everybody else is, a lot of people try to keep up, and, they just put themselves in a hole. And I'd rather be debt free, and not have all the craziness, and actually be able to sleep at night and enjoy life, than have a ton of debt on my neck that is constantly stressing me out. And unfortunately, just a lot of people that are out there like that, because again, trying to keep up with the Joneses, not with themselves.
Gotcha. Sounds great. And since the book I want to ask you also, since the book's been out, have you had any stories of people that got the book and it's helped them tremendously?
Tons. I mean, I get people emailing and calling all the time. I mean, I want to say we've done over 10,000. I don't even know. I mean, I feel bad for the publishing company, because I mean, I'm not a big, I am a promoter, but I'm not a promoter like, oh, everybody check my book out, or, I didn't write a book to literally go sell books, to be honest with you. The publishing company's done unbelievable in selling it. It's done well on Amazon. And now it's on tactical16.com is where they can buy it. Yeah, I
got on my Kindle here, so I
there you go. Yeah, or that too. And it's just like you said, it's an easy to read book. And we wrote the first one, and we had a second editor look at it afterwards, and she was like, this probably should have been a workbook. And it's done so well, with the original, would you be willing to do it again as a 2.0, and actually where people can actually, write their thoughts down in it, and, take notes. And again, I wanted to use it. I wanted something small enough they could throw in a backpack, and they could use to cheat, that if something happened, like, oh, I kind of remember reading that in TK's book, see what his thoughts are, or what he did. And that's the biggest thing too. First chapter, as success is by design. Nobody wakes up successful. It just doesn't happen. And the good news is, nowadays, compared to when I was coming in the 90s trying to learn stuff, I could only learn from my mentors. Nowadays, with the internet and YouTube and, all the different videos and stuff that are out there from all these amazing individuals that have had a lot of success in life, there's honestly no reason why people can't achieve their dreams, because it just takes you a little time in your day to stop and research. And that's why I tell everybody, the first thing you got to figure out is, who do you want to be, and what do you want to do? If you don't know that, you're kind of like a boat just drifting in the ocean without knowing where you're actually going. And life goes by so quick. Like I said, I just had my 50th birthday, and man, it's a blink. I still feel like I'm 25. I still feel like that 25-year-old that is, even though I've done a lot in my life, I still feel like I'm still at square one. I always feel like that. No matter what, I always feel like I'm at square one, no matter what I accomplish. I mean, when we did our first celebrity softball game, UTOU and McConaughey and Toby and everybody, all the great athletes came out and played in it. And, we woke up the next morning, and my wife's like, man, it was so awesome. I can't believe you did it, and you should be really excited. It's like, let's see what happens next year, and she's like, really, you're not even excited? Yeah, it was a great time. It's awesome, but it's over with. Like, okay. It's a great start. Now, how much bigger can it get next time? And that's just kind of always my mentality. I mean, you have a good month, with my company has a great month, man, that's awesome. Let's give ourselves a quick high five and a pat on the back, but that's the last month now. But now I know, now I have a benchmark we better be doing that better than that this month, right? And we got to get better next month, and and it's like that too when working out or eating right or just every aspect of my life. I compete with myself so hard, just me. I really don't care about anything else outside my own little atmosphere here. I'm always in competition with myself to see how much better I can get, and that's really the fun thing for me. Is I'm not a guy that should be in a position I am, that I'm in. And so the fun thing for me is just always like, how much more can I get away with in this world that I'm not supposed to get away with, And how much higher can I? How much higher can I climb? What else can I accomplish? What else? And that's always my thing. What else? When I talk to my team members, they'll come to me and go, "Man, TK, we got this and this, and oh man," and it's like, "Man, it's awesome. What else?" And you'll be amazed how many more what else's, how much farther we end up down the line, they thought they were done. And then we all start again, let's talk about a little bit more. And then all of a sudden another idea pops up, and then you could be 3.0, 5.0 out of the first idea that everybody thought that was our final idea, right? Like, this is it. And then five conversations later, you're like, okay, I don't think we can get any farther. So I think we are at the point where we can go ahead and launch this, or, we're ready to go. So that's me personally. I'm always like, man, that's awesome. TK, you did a good job for yourself, but then it's like, what else, TK, can you go accomplish? So it's always in competition with myself. The good news is so regardless, I always get to give myself the gold medal because I'm the only one running the race. So that's sometimes a good thing too.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. I mean, people only get to see your success, for the most part. Nobody in your success is really about like that. Nobody gets to see, the rear end kickings you've taken, and all the adversity and all the craziness that goes on behind the scenes. And, you only get to see the good side of everything, really, right? Social media, right. People all the time are like, oh my God, I go home back to Southeast Missouri, I grew up, and people, they think in their mindset, I run with Matthew McConaughey every day, and now I just live this amazing lifestyle and blah, blah. And yeah, it is great, but it's got its, pros and cons both, and, of everything. So, I just always tell people, like, man, it doesn't matter what my life is, how do you help yourself? How do you get to where you want to be? That needs to be your focus.
So
in everything you do.
Yeah. So gotcha, man. I appreciate that. That's great insight from you. So basically, piggybacking on what next, as far as you're concerned, any future plans as far as writing or any other endeavors you've been doing lately?
To be honest, I don't know. I've actually had a couple contact me, ask me if I'd be willing to follow up with a different look of a book, and kind of more updated from even that book. But we do the celebrity softball games per year, which is a lot, and then we have
a couple years ago, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, COVID knocked us out this year. This would have been our fourth year for the OUT game, our second year for the Memorial Day, and obviously COVID knocked that out. But we'll be back next year, and to keep everything going. I mean, everybody's excited for 2021. We have Verve systems, which under there we have a CBD line, we have a new apparel line, we have our own personal line. We do have a performance apparel line coming out at the end of 2021. We have some other products that will be coming out at the beginning of 2021 that you'll actually see on national TV. We're keeping a tight lip on all that stuff right now, but yeah, you'll start seeing the Verve performance products coming out here in 2021 on national TV pretty quick. And they're exciting. And a lot of my celebrities are going to be, it's all real people, science and real results. And you'll see a lot of my celebrities in those commercials, and, real life doctors in the whole 9 yards. So that's kind of exciting, and that's, going on. And, again, and then on top of it, just being a husband, dad, brother, uncle, you name it, everything else I do in life, finding time to do that. The one thing probably with everything I do, the one thing I like more than anything is that, all the wins and losses depend on me. I really don't have to worry about anybody else to whether what my paycheck's going to be or how my life's going to turn out. And, you know, and again, when you do that, you got to take the good and the bad. But, you know, freedom of having the opportunity to do what you want to do in life, you know, and having a quality of life, to me, that's really that's the key. And again, when I was in the corporate world making, you know, just ridiculous six figures, you know, the hours I was putting in, everything I was doing, you know, the money was great, but man, I never got to see my family hardly. And then when the weekends came, I was exhausted, you know, then you're running around with little league games or pee wee football, or my kids were young and everything else. And, but, you know, my tank was always on empty, it seemed like. And, you know, it just, again, life is short. So people need to do what they can to enjoy it and get the most out of it. And really their family and friends is, you know, what makes life great. You know, you're not going to leave here with any material things. The only thing you're leaving this world with is your memories and, you know, the things you got to do in life. And when you're laying on your deathbed, I promise you, and I've been around my grandmother and my dad and everybody else, and trust me, they don't talk about the vehicles they had. They don't talk about the houses they had. They talk about the experiences and memories they have on their way out. And that's what you're leaving with. So I want to make sure when I'm on my deathbed, I've got some unbelievably great times and that I've done in life, and I've got to spend it with great people that I love and care about, all my family, friends, and relatives. So
great to hear, Tim. That's very good. And we'll go ahead and wrap it up here on this edition of Modern Faith Unlimited. Do you have social media where people can follow you at?
Yeah, they can just find me on Tim Klund, Kound, on Facebook. The not so handsome guy wearing sunglasses. You'll see me there. And then on LinkedIn is Timothy Klund, Kound-TK. And then on Instagram and Twitter, it's just at Klund09.
Gotcha.
They can find me either one of those.
Sounds great, Tim. Tim,
appreciate you, brother. Thanks for finally great to finally getting us connected.
Yeah.
Have some fun together. Good seeing you.
Yeah, no problem, Tim.
Proud of you, bro.
God bless you, man.
You too, my man.
I hope you're, whatever happens in your life, you know, career-wise, spiritual-wise, I hope blessings are just poured onto you.
Same to you, brother. You know me, it will. I'm pretty blessed.
Thank you very much, Tim. Appreciate it.
All right, bro. Love you, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
See you, Bob.
Well, that was a great interview with Mr. Klund today. I really am very certain he's a very blessed individual, and he's got everything going for him. If you haven't checked his book out, Stop Whining, Start Winning, please check it out. It's very motivating. It's got a lot of biblical truth into it. Please, if you can, try it and get a copy of that. It'll bless your life. And that's the show for the day. So if you want to follow us, our Twitter handle is @ModernUnlimited. Facebook and Instagram is @ModernFaithUnlimited. And also we have our website at www.modernfaithunlimited.com. Please like, subscribe, and share with everyone you know. And I'm William Quinn. We'll see you next time.